Hi everybody and welcome to week 3 of EDU6200. We're moving right along now and a lot of things are happening, and I wanted to give you some updates for week 3 and also some reminders from weeks 1 and 2. So regarding my email over this weekend, I don't know what happened, but apparently the assignment reopened up for everybody. I've been able to close it and regrade it, and if you don't see your grade in the portal, please let me know. That's for WCG number 1. That was the website tutorial. Moving forward to week number 2, I've noticed many of you have done both your initial post and your 2 response posts. Those are due tonight. That is tonight, September 4th. Do make sure you get those done. Really, really important. You don't want to fall behind on these grades that early on that can really affect you later on in the semester. So do make sure you get those posts done today while you're home. Most of you are probably off today like I am, which is why I'm doing this video in the morning on Monday. So that's something to be working on and thinking about. Then we turn our attention to week number 3. And as we get moving forward, I want you to think about a couple things. Number 1, you can start working ahead in the textbook, looking ahead at things we're going to be looking at. We're going to look at the first 6 chapters across the first 6 weeks. And if you're one of those people that wants to read ahead, go ahead and do that today, tomorrow, whatever day works best for you. But I also want you to be thinking that our first group is going to be presenting in a couple of weeks. So that's not too far away. I believe that's week 5, and I'll double check that as I look through the syllabus with you guys today. But it's really important to be thinking ahead. Group number 1, you have your stuff ready. If you want me to look at it ahead of time, go ahead and send it to me via email. I'll look at it and make sure it's what we're looking for. And then you can post it in time for the week 5 discussion forum to begin. So before we get to that, week 3. You got 2 things to work on during week 3. Number 1, you're reading chapter 3 in the text, and I'll get to that in just a moment. And you're also doing the week 3 discussion post. So again, same thing as we've done so far. But I think I'm starting to challenge you guys, and I haven't looked yet at this week's, but I asked you to do a presentation. Week 3, do a presentation if you haven't done something like a PowerPoint or a Prezi or something like that that's different, or even do a video like I'm doing right now to present your content, your answers to us. Just a way for you to step outside the box and really look at different ways of presenting information. I hope these videos that I'm doing for you are informative and helpful, especially regarding the assignments. But also today I'm going to talk a little bit about the content of these first 3 chapters. So that's the first assignment for week number 3. That's the week 3 discussion forum from chapter 3 in your text. The second assignment I gave you a warning about last week is WCG number 9, the field experience assignment. And these are the notes. So I went ahead and gave you that ahead of time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to post this video in the portal, but like I've done every week, I'm going to also email it to you. And when I email the link to you, I'm going to include the actual rubric. If you haven't found them yet on Chalk and Wire, I went ahead and took a screenshot for you. And I'm going to send you the rubric for WCG number 9 because I got a couple of different questions about this. So first of all, this rubric actually has 3 parts. And I'm going to go in reverse order because I got that question from a couple of you. How many days do I have to have? You got to have at least 4 if you want to get the 3 rating on the rubric. So if you look at the bottom of the rubric that I've emailed you, it says very clearly you got to have at least 4 days, which if you haven't started yet still works out okay because there's 4 days this week. Then I'll go back to the top. 5 or more specific responses to barriers to success that include disagreement and dissent by staying focused on the school's vision and or student learning. So what you're looking at there is how your principal or assistant principal are dealing with barriers. It could be teachers who are fighting them. It could be parents in the community. It could be things that just don't work out right. It could be the fact the schedule didn't work right. The principal or assistant principal who you're working with has to give you those 5 examples. Then down in number 2 on it, the outcome links, Section 2 talks about notes contain 3 or more acknowledgments of errors and or demonstrations of explicit improvement in specific performance areas based on previous evaluations and formative feedback. So this is all about feedback. You're looking at how your administrator is giving feedback and looking at errors that teachers and or other staff members might be making. So you're really doing an observation of what it is to provide feedback and look at challenges that are facing in the school day. So if you're unsure about that still and the rubric's not clear to you, very easy. After you finish up day 1, you got your notes already. go ahead and send those to me. Let me look at them, and I'll tell you if you're on the right track. Okay, so those are the two assignments for this week. It's the discussion forum week 3 and WCG number 9, the field experience assignment. Those are both due by the 11th, so next Monday at 11:55 p.m. And again, on discussion forum, if you can try and do your initial post by Saturday, that helps everybody else out. I saw a whole lot more were done by Saturday this week than the first week, and I understand it's getting started, but if you can get those done by the first Saturday of the week, it makes it easier. If you look down the syllabus with me, further down, weeks 4 and 5 are nothing but reading and discussion. So reading and discussion in 4 and 5. And then in weeks 6 and 7, we do WCG assignments number 2 and number 3. Now, I noticed a few of you already submitted number 2. That's fine. It's going to sit there. I'm not going to look at them until I get to that week. I grade things in order, and that way I make sure I've graded everybody's assignments for those weeks. As a reminder, when you go to actually post stuff in Chalk and Wire, you do not need to go to Chalk and Wire specifically. You go to the portal, you click on the link like you do for discussion forum. It will take you directly into Chalk and Wire for you to submit, and that makes it easier for me because when I grade it in Chalk and Wire, your grade goes in both places for me. So again, week 6 and 7, WCG number 2, WCG number 3, those are going to be due then. I will talk more about them next week in that video because I don't want these to be too long that you're getting stuck in the middle and forgetting what we're talking about for this current week. Also of importance is that in week 8, and you're going to have the midterm exam. So that's coming up. It's only chapters 1 through 6. That is the week of October 10th. And I know, yes, that's a month away. I realize that. But believe it or not, it goes by very, very quickly. Okay, the last thing I want to do with you is I do want to go over a couple things related to content that you should have picked up here in these recent chapters. Chapter 2 talks a lot about our responsibility to negligence, to our duty, and to intentional torts. Really, really important is negligence on your part as the educator, and if you have done a reasonable job of protecting kids. That's really the important thing. You've done a reasonable job protecting kids, both as a teacher and as an administrator. Duty, just doing your proper job to do what you're supposed to do and warn people of known dangers. And then intentional torts talks about things like battery, false imprisonment, things that we don't want to do as educators. Now, the neat thing about chapter 2 in this text, it talks a lot about things that will get you fired right away. And so that's something to really think about. Chapter 3, which is the week you're going to be looking at, some things I really want you to think about as you look at chapter 3. This one talks about separation of church and state. And I know some of the students I had in previous semesters taught at a private Catholic school or a private Christian school. And that's really, really a neat thing for us to look at. So if you're one of those people, I haven't gotten to know all of you that well yet, but I will as the semester progresses, and you work in one of those private schools, like a Catholic school or Christian school, be aware that our lens in this course, because we're following state law, is around public schools and a clear separation of church and state. It's not that prayer can't happen in schools. It can't be sponsored by the schools. It can't be sponsored by the teacher. We have to give kids equal right to do things. And I'll tell you a quick story about that in my teaching and how separation of church and state played a huge role. Now, I'm a science teacher by trade. I taught middle school science for 10 years. And you science teachers out there, you know what I'm talking about. We teach that lovely subject called Darwin. Yes, law of natural selection. I remember teaching it for the first time and having a kid in my front row telling me, you're going to HE double hockey sticks for teaching about evolution. Well, again, you have to treat things properly. You cannot, infringe on somebody's religious rights, religious beliefs, whatever it may be. And so what I had to respond was, well, if that is your belief, that is your belief. We're here to learn the state-mandated content from science. And if you have questions about your religious beliefs, you want to definitely talk to your religious advisor. I'm here to teach the state-required science content. And that's how I left it. And, he was fine after that. It was end of story. Because you can't just tell a kid they're wrong. You got to acknowledge their belief and say, okay, that's what your parents have brought you up to believe, but here we have to learn this science content that the state requires. So some good things in there about Chapter 3, talking about a lot of questions you may have too, especially talking about state aid to religious schools. And that's a very, very contentious topic. and you'll notice that the state government has found ways to go around that. Some of the opportunity scholarships allow them to do it because in those cases, like where, if you're not familiar with this scholarship format, I forget the exact name of it, but businesses can sponsor a scholarship for a student to go to a private parochial school. When they do that, they get a tax credit in that amount. So let's say that I was a corporation and I sponsored your kid and I paid $5,000 for him to go to St. John's the Baptist School, whatever it is. And when your kid went to that school, I paid for it as my corporation. Well, my corporation now gets a tax cut equal to the $5,000. So in essence, the state is not paying for it, but the state is sponsoring a scholarship. And so far, the courts have left that alone. Now, as we get further in the semester, you're going to see the courts play a huge role in a lot of things that we do. And as we talk about that more, I'll bring up some more information, some really good cases that we will study that really shape what we do today in public education. Okay, that's enough for today's video as I'm pushing 12 minutes already here. Just a couple quick reminders. Get your stuff in today for week 2, the discussion forum. Start working on week 3 discussion forum, and also start working on WCG number 9 if you haven't done it yet. Again, you're doing number 9 first, and then you're going back and doing 2 and 3 later. So don't do them out of don't do them in order. Do them in the order I've assigned. I apologize, guys. I'm not going to start over. It's 12 minutes in. Number 9 is this week, due by the 11th. WCG number 9, the field notes. Any questions, please email me, text me, call me. I'm here to help you guys. Enjoy the rest of your Labor Day, and I'll talk to y'all soon.